Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. Repetition, the simple act of doing the same thing over and over and over again. It can, on the face of it, seem mind-numbing, crazy-making. And as parents, there is a lot of built-in monotony and repetition. At different stages of parenting, that kind of looks different. From the early days of eat, sleep, poop on repeat to the school years where it's wake up, rush to get out the door and everything that entails, and then at the end of the day, doing the whole thing in reverse. For some, repetition is terrifying. That prospect of that being a big chunk of your life for so long is terrifying. It can be incredibly unsettling to do the same thing day in and day out. But for others, there's a comfort in it. Indeed, for kids, repetition is a core part of how they learn. Whether it's reading the same book 5,000 times or listening to the same song until your eardrums want to bleed, all that predictable input helps them shape their view of the world. It helps them to learn. I remember watching the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi in 2011. Did you watch that? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Long before I had kids or was even considering the prospect, it was this film that followed the life and business of a master sushi chef in Japan, Jiro Ono. I was completely captivated by his obsession with his craft, his dedication to constant improvement well into his 80s, and his commitment to repetition. Day in and day out, he did the exact same thing and he demanded everybody else do the same. For me, that film really made me appreciate how repetition can lead to mastery, how it can lead to dream fulfillment. On the face of it, you might not necessarily associate Zach Brooks, general manager of Smorgasburg, LA, and the blogger, food writer, podcaster behind Midtown Lunch, with repetition. I mean, the guy is seemingly eating at a different place every day, often multiple times a day. He has a wide range of interests that go deep, from sumo to music to, well, obviously food. But buried beneath that kaleidoscope of sights and sounds and smells is a dedication to the things that matter to him most professionally and personally. A dogged commitment through repetition that not many other CVs of the day can rival. Zach's food blog, Midtown Lunch, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this month. 20 years! A project born out of his own passion and curiosity about Midtown New York, often perceived that he roundly refutes is a food desert. But what made Midtown Lunch a success wasn't just an interest. It was a steadfast commitment to show up every day and every week and write and publish. The same too can be said of his work on Smorgasburg, LA, which is also celebrating a big anniversary this month, its 10th. Every Sunday, without fail, Zach is there, walkie-talkie in hand, celebrating the vendors he loves while also constantly tweaking here and there to make sure it's the best experience possible for everyone. This is the part where if Zach's listening, he is crawling in his skin over this praise. That I should even mention him in the same sentence as Jiro-san of Michelin star acclaim, but it's true. The two do share a deep commitment to their craft that can only be achieved by repetition over a very long time. And in the backdrop of all of that, Zach is drawn deep into his repetition canon to raise his 3 kids with his wife, building an insane amount of discipline to both pursue his passions and dreams while also being most often the parent on call during normal work hours, helping to instill in his own kids the comfort that comes with repetition. Enjoy this visit to the archive. Congrats to Zach on 2 huge professional milestones. And if you ever have the opportunity, go to Smorgasburg, LA and check out the labor of love that it is. Welcome to the closet.
This is not a closet. I'm sorry. Well, I guess it is. I think what throws it off is the windows.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't really feel like even one of those big walk-in closets you would see on one of those.
Like a Bieber. Like a
the
Cribs.
MTV Cribs, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, God, jeez.
Or remember that? What was that guy's name? Like, was it Leech, like, welcome to the
Robin Leach,
lifestyles of the rich and famous.
I was about to say, is it good that I couldn't remember Cribs? Like, I feel like that's a good thing that I couldn't remember the name of it. And you went even farther back.
Yeah.
Like, that's
You're welcome.
really aging me.
All of us?
Both of us.
Like,
yeah.
it's the nasally, like, welcome to the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah, it's the same show.
It is the same show.
Different, but that was for the 80s. Perfect. Cribs was for the 90s.
And now I think somebody pointed out recently to me that, like, you know, like there's these selling Sunset not even $1 million listing. Like there are these, now it's like we have to be screaming at each other and fighting about something else while we're showing the real estate. That's what it's, I think, become. Or maybe there's the Arc Digest features.
There's too much now. There's too much. I don't watch any of that stuff. Whereas I can't credibly claim that I've never seen Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous or Cribs. I've seen both of those shows.
I've seen umpteens of both.
But the newer stuff, I thankfully have no idea what you're talking about.
I honestly, you seem like a smart guy. Like that's probably for the best. You're retaining your brain cells.
I think so. Well, no, because this crap I mean, it's not like food TikTok is, great for the brain.
That's research.
Just doesn't leave a lot of, yes, thank you. It's for work.
And you're critically engaging with it.
This is what I tell my kids when we don't allow them on social media. It's like, well, you're on Instagram all day long. And I'm like, that's for work. That's my job.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I don't know if that's true, though.
Our kids are going to be very confused. I'm up here, like, hanging out with pals and people I haven't met, just gassing it up. And they're going to be like, this is work? My son, when he's mad at us, he'll say, well, you don't get to work today. Because he sees that we like what we do. He thinks that's, like, the punishment. Which is probably a good thing.
I think it's cyclical. Like, I think my dad grew up poor, became a lawyer because that's what you did to, went to law school, joined the army to pay his way through law school, became a lawyer in Miami as a Jew. That's what you do. You become a lawyer, made money, but always regretted he was really creative. He played music. He wrote scripts. Like he did all this creative stuff, but never for work. And so when he had kids, he was like, do what you love, do something you love. And then I, was like, yeah, I'm going to do something I love. I went into like radio were you familiar with radio?
It was my first job out of college.
Really? Yeah. So me too. Like did radio. I started a podcast. I had a food blog. And now I'm like, you can't fucking make money that way. So I'm telling my kids, go to law school, or learn a trade, like learn something. Like, I'm like, no, don't do, so I feel like it's like, cyclical,
Whereas I'm like, maybe I tell them to just like buy a hut in Italy and like live exactly how they want to live, just like do it on not a lot of money. Like
I don't think I'm even going to need to tell my kids anything. I think they look at me and they think, I don't want this. Like I want to make some money. I want to make a living.
Because they're LA kids.
Well, maybe that could be. I don't know. We live in Culver City, so they are public school kids.
Okay, Zach, I think you broadly know what we do here. We got into it just now, just a little bit, but you grew up in Miami.
Yes.
And we're going to get from there to today.
Yes.
Are you ready?
No, there's no. Okay, yes.
Things we're going to have to apparently touch on lightly, unless we want to be here till midnight, is your wife's birth story, but we're going to have to talk a little bit about it. And what was the other thing? Egg rolls. We'll probably have to stay away from egg rolls altogether.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
That's for a follow-up discussion. So you grew up in Miami. Siblings?
Yeah, younger brother.
Yes. And, okay, well now first question out the gate. Would you consider yourself, you don't strike me as an anxious person.
Well, I'm a Jew. I mean, I'm a Jew. I mean, what do you mean? Like, I'm neurotic in all the ways that
you've got like some Woody Allen.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, I can really. I mean, let's.
Well, not all.
Don't cheat. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe 10 years ago I would have been like exactly like Woody Allen, but not anymore.
Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg.
I wish. He seems way cooler and smarter than I am. But yeah, no, that's in there for sure.
And the reason why I ask is because I famously am interested in birth order as just like, stereotypes.
I'm the oldest. My younger brother wasn't born. My younger brother's 5 years younger than me. Way too long to wait.
Yeah.
So I was an insufferable.
So you're kind of an only child.
I was an insufferable, wished I was an only child. When
he showed up, you're like,
spoiled.
Who the fuck is this?
Yes. And my parents did not do a good job of I think, I don't really know. And it's not like I remember or hold any, but my assumption is they did a terrible job at not making me into a selfish asshole, which I am to this day.
Which we'll get to when we talk about how much you love being a parent.
But it's funny. I think we did a much better job. I mean, I have 3 kids, which
it's
is
too many
insane.
kids, honestly.
Way too many kids.
It's 5,000 children after 2.
And I say that generally speaking. Obviously, there's not one kid that
You're so happy they're all there.
I don't, right. As individuals, as people, but obviously,
you're outnumbered.
And, it was clearly a mistake, a lot of it. I won't say specifically which one, because I don't want to give them trauma
More
if they ever listen to this.
Yeah.
But I think we did a way better job of which I credit my wife because she is the planner. Our kids are all 2.5 to 3 years apart. It was very well planned. And we did I don't mind jumping ahead here. We did the when we had our second kid, the introducing the first kid to the second kid. Oh, we did it so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wait, what are they? What are girls, boys? What's the order?
Oldest is a boy.
Okay.
And then 2 girls.
Okay.
So the oldest is now 16.
Okay, so basically in college. That's crazy.
He's an adult. He's an adult, a full-grown adult man.
Does he drive?
No, kids don't care about driving now anymore. I don't know. Huh. That's a thing. Huh. Kids are not dying to get their driver's license.
Is this because we're Floridians and we're just gagging for it, but they don't have to here?
But I think it's a generational thing. I mean, I guess I only know what people say here in LA. I don't know if it extends to other cities and places, but we've heard this from a lot of people where kids are just kind of they're not dying for the responsibility of driving a car. And we're happy. I mean, not happy, but we drive him wherever he wants to go.
Yeah.
So he's just what do I need a car for?
I have a chauffeur.
Yeah. So he's not, I mean, I think he just finished the class and is maybe going to take his test and he is going to get a driver's license.
But I needed to get mine day of.
The day of. Yeah, for sure.
No question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you oldest, you have a younger brother, 5 years apart, insufferable. You were just insufferable.
By the way, we're great friends now.
I was going to ask.
Adults. Yeah.
Okay. So you're very
he's still full on traumatized, I think. I think he's probably hasn't gotten over a lot of it, but he's good at faking it when we talk and hang out.
That's nice. Where does he live?
Great. Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives far away.
For him. No. We tried Connecticut before we moved here. It's not a place for me. And what does he do professionally?
Did
he follow his creative dreams?
Maybe more so than no. That's a good question. He worked at ESPN. That's why he moved to Connecticut.
That feels like somebody's dream.
Yeah, I mean that's a great. He was in New York. He worked in media in New York. He actually worked for the New York Observer, which is a newspaper in New York. But he was doing internet stuff like product management of websites and apps and things like that. So he works in media, but more on the technology side of things. So
good for him.
Yeah, great. Usable skill.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah.
Never met her. So, okay. So you guys are close now, growing up, and you grew up all of your childhood in Miami.
Yes. Yeah. Till college. Yep. Born and raised.
In those years, we know that, you worked in radio as sort of your first job, right?
Yeah. I went to college in Boston and was worked at the college radio station. I love music.
Tufts?
Yeah, Tufts. Yeah, good. Well,
I do try and learn a couple of things, but when somebody says,
when someone says Boston, you're always now if I'd said Cambridge, you would have been oh, fucking Harvard asshole. But even Boston is that's
why I had to clarify.
But if I was I went to school in Somerville, Massachusetts, it's nobody knows
exactly.
What that is. And
that's why I had
also Tufts. I feel is also I don't know, whatever.
It's a smart people school. Zach.
It is. It's way smarter now than I was like one of the last years where like you could kind of like.
You slipped under
yeah,
there.
I definitely slipped. I could not get in now.
Yeah, I don't think any of us could get in any of these places now.
And wouldn't want to. I think, it probably costs more money a year to go to that college than I've ever made in a year of work.
Yeah.
In any job I've ever had. But yeah, I really like music, so I thought maybe I'd go into the music industry, but then ended up gravitating towards radio.
Yeah.
I worked at a radio station in Boston for a bunch of years, and
was that an interest you had sort of your whole childhood?
yeah, I just love music. Yeah.
Were you like did you have an allowance? Were you like saving up to buy records?
Yeah. CDs. I mean, it was like
But like records have always been cool.
Yeah, but not. If
I guess
if
there
you,
was
not in the
right.
90s, like in the
It was too close.
It was a little bit of. I mean, like I loved that friends of mine's parents had amazing record collections, like the ones who were hippies or like went to Woodstock or whatever. Melissa Reichner, she knows who I'm talking about, her and her parents.
Shout out Melissa.
And that was cool, but like it didn't make sense to have records if, when CDs were invented, when they were introduced as a technology, CDs were cheaper. They didn't scratch.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to worry about them skipping. Like, and it just.
Were you burning stuff? Were you like
that was
Napstering
college.
it and
like,
burning things?
Like college is when all that stuff started to happen. Like Napster and all that kind of
R.I.P.
stuff. But yeah, I mean, but my main music collection was CDs. Like I have like thousands of CDs.
Still?
Whatever. Well, yes, much to my wife's. I mean, they're in boxes.
Yeah. That's
in the shed.
I have like a couple that I'm like, oh, I remember when I bought this CD, but my husband has all of them and they're in our garage.
I can't.
You're never gonna fucking look at these.
I can't get rid of them. I just can't do it. But yeah, no, I just love music. And so I think, I mean, if you really want to, I don't know to what extent this is therapy, but like.
It kind of is a little.
Yeah, I mean, with music, I wanted to go into the music industry. I thought, A&R would be cool. You get to like go out, see a bunch of bands, live music. But in the end, it's like you're trying to convince a band that you love to sign with your label, which is hard.
Yeah.
Like, and if a band is incredible, they have a bunch of A&R people trying to like sell them on their label. That's not appealing to me. Like fighting over.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you work for a record label, not signing the artist, you have to just market whatever bands the A&R team signs. And I didn't want to be like,
there's no agency in that.
Yeah. Like, and so radio actually was perfect because,
you could introduce people.
Yes. You get to choose the music. And so I was, I worked for a very cool, like alternative rock radio station in Boston. And I did like the new music show. So I got to pick the bands like that I wanted to play. And so if I loved a band, I could play that band and talk about them and, give them exposure
them a platform,
and get to go to concerts and all the stuff I love doing. So it appealed to me, which I feel like is, when I sort of started to go from music into food, I feel like the food stuff is kind of the same. You just swap in.
Smorgasburg is a little bit like a radio station.
Right. Chefs, you just swap in chefs and restaurants for bands, and it's,
You want people to know about the really good shit. Basically.
Yeah, right. Like that's the right.
Line.
Like it's going, when I first started my food blog, it was just about going and eating in a bunch of places and like exposing these like up and coming like restaurants, places to eat lunch, to people. Like that was my blog.
Simple but important, especially in Midtown.
Yes, that was
the wasteland.
I mean, it
seems
now, so silly, and I mean, in retrospect, it was such an obvious like thing, and I credit the idea and the utility of it far more than like me being like a great writer or any sort of like genius. It just was a thankless job that nobody in the food world was interested in eating lunch in Midtown.
Right.
But there were so many people
but
working
everybody
in
else,
Midtown who needed this like thing that like Eater was brand new at the time, but they didn't care about Midtown. Like, and and there were other bloggers who were writing about like fancy restaurants in New York and stuff. And like, and I was the one writing about like, oh, if you just walk an extra 5 blocks from your office building, you could find this incredible lunch down the like hallway of an elevator, like a service entrance elevator hallway, you can find this amazing Ecuadorian like lunch counter. And the beauty of Midtown is you're talking about an insane number of people within like a pretty like mile by mile rate. So everywhere's walkable if you're just willing to walk 5 or 10 minutes out of your way for lunch and sort of
to have a really
and ignore
lunch.
the like typical like soup salad sandwich places that are on every corner.
Every corner.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of those places, if I still see them now, it like gives me flashbacks to being like broke out of college, working in radio, making, I don't know, $20,000 a year or whatever it was. And
Where was this? Where'd you work in radio?
CBS News Radio in New York.
Oh.
In Hell's Kitchen.
Right. So Midtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was packing peanut butter sandwiches, I think, mainly.
Yeah.
And also I was working often the 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. shift.
Oh, great.
So,
Overnights. Were you like a board op? What were you doing?
well, I was a desk assistant. So it's like, you know, all the international news was at that time, which is what I was really into. So it was like, if I wanted to build relationships with the international correspondents, you got to work their hours, sort of.
Makes sense.
But glad I don't
sorry
do
that
that.
I automatically went to board op because that was my first like my after being an intern, like running the board on the overnight shift was the entry level, like, and I had to do it for a number of years.
Yeah.
Super fun.
I did about a year of that before I decided to move to Hong Kong and do reporting that way. Cause I was just like, if you start at the apex, like in New York, there aren't really many places you can go, you know, you have to kind of get out at some point. Okay. So growing up, food in your house, what are we eating? What's the family's relationship with food?
So my mom was like, my grandmother on my mom's side was a notoriously bad cook. Like she wasn't like one of those like,
Balabusta.
And so my mom always felt like she was a bad cook, but like the things she made a few things and we liked those things. Like she made a meatloaf that was not made of beef and did not have bacon on it.
Did it have ketchup in it?
Yeah.
Was there an egg in the middle?
No egg in the middle, but it was ketchup on top, probably ground turkey most of the time, maybe sometimes beef. And she served it with mashed potatoes and peas, which
cozy, comforting.
makes sense. Yeah. And so we liked her meatloaf. She made like a shrimp scampi that bore no resemblance to actual shrimp scampi. You know, she just had her things and we liked them because we didn't know any better. And I feel like I actually cook for my family, and like I feel like I am objectively a better cook than my mom was, but I also feel like there are certain things that my kids have just grown up eating that this will be their
right.
Like, so I think about that all the time. But the real food thing in my family was, I mean, my grandmother was on my dad's side was a great cook. And I think about her all the time because she would make dinner. Like she was famous for her chicken wings, which are a weird recipe with like apricot baby food was one of the recipes.
Gross,
like
but delicious.
But that's, I mean, if you imagine like
a sweet and sour
this is
sort
what
of
recipes like were in, but she was a good cook. She made matzo ball soup and whatever. And I always remembered she would cook. We'd go to her house, she would cook, and then we'd all sit down to eat, and it'd be like, where's grandma? Oh, right. she's lying on the couch in the other room, like exhausted. And I was always like, that's horrible. Like she should be sitting here enjoying the food that she's made with us. But now that like whenever I cook for a holiday, now I think about her every time because I'm like, after I'm done cooking,
you're
like
flat out.
I just want to go lie on the couch in the other room.
You've been on your feet for hours.
No interest in eating.
Or talking to anybody.
Yeah, and I think about her all the time for that. But the real food thing growing up was my parents separated when I was like 8 or 9. But my dad was still like really present. So every Tuesday and Thursday night, he would come and take us out to dinner. And so we would go out to eat every Tuesday and Thursday night. And then on Saturdays and every other weekend, we'd stay with him like at his apartment.
I had a similar schedule.
And so like we would eat, like there was a rotation of places that included the Dadeland Mall food court, which is a big thing for me. We had our local Chinese food restaurant, Hua Xing, where we would go.
God bless.
I didn't get that joke until many years later that
Hua
Xing, very racist. But, we had our Thai food restaurant. We had our, and there were certain places that we would eat. And I remember the first time he ever took us to eat sushi. which in Miami in the 80s was, I would think I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I was like, this is the weirdest Chinese food we've ever eaten. And so that was like my introduction to like, we weren't eating at like fancy restaurants or anything but we were eating out like at all sorts of different places. Like
you were exposed and you just like, that was part of your regular eating experience.
And my dad loved eating. He was in the army, so he spent time in Vietnam. He spent time in Korea. So he loved Asian food. We definitely like ate, we would eat Thai food. We'd eat Chinese food. There was one dim sum place in Miami growing up. We'd eat there on the weekends. And then when there was one Korean restaurant that opened up in downtown Miami that I remember my dad taking me to eat lunch there. I've told this story a bunch of times. He took me to this Korean restaurant, and it was the first time I ever ate Korean food. And I remember him, they put the kimchi down, and he's like, try this. He's like, it's the worst thing you've ever eaten in your life. And I was like, why would
Way to sell it, Dad.
Why would I want to eat this? And he's like, he's like, it's so bad. The more you eat it, you grow to love it. Like, it's just, and I was like, all right. So I took a bite and I was like, oh, this is, never had anything like this. Yeah. Really
unctuous.
It was just spicy. And I mean, I guess it's kind of like sauerkraut. I mean, so there is like some, but it's just really fermented and spicy, and it just wasn't like anything I'd ever eaten. But sure enough, like throughout the whole meal, I kept going back to it. Like, oh, I'm going to try another bite of this. It's, whatever. But then the dishes we actually got were these noodle bowls with like a dark sauce and chopped onions and little bits of meat, which was
sounds good.
Years
sounds
later,
like
when I was
noodles or something.
When I was living in New York, Korean food, you get introduced. It's like bibimbap or Korean barbecue or stews and bulgogi and all this stuff, and that was not this. And then at some point, maybe when I moved to LA, I was introduced to Korean Chinese food, which the main dish is a noodles and black bean sauce. And that was this dish. And it all came back to me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is, so whatever that Korean restaurant was in Miami was a Korean Chinese food restaurant, whether or not they were
advertising as such.
And it was a while before. It just was like, I had never seen this thing that my dad was excited to introduce me to when I was like 16.
Yeah.
It was like 10 years before I saw it again.
I was going to ask you how old you were, because the conversation of just try a bite of this. If I did that to my 4-year-old, he would do the 4-year-old equivalent of fuck you. Like he would he would lose his mind if at the mere suggestion he try something.
See, I have very strong opinions about like food and kids, and
I want to get into it.
It's worked out for us and our family, in ways that a lot of our friends say they're jealous of. They're like, oh, your kids eat so, I'm so jealous. Like you can go anywhere. And so part of me is like, yeah, we're the best. Like we're amazing parents. We like know exactly what we're doing. But there's another part of me that's like, well, maybe it is like, because we are inclined to be the kind of people who will eat anything and will force our kids to eat anything and not allow their pickiness to inform. Like, I don't know if I believe in, like, part of me believes that genetics really does, and yes, of course, like nature has a big impact on all of our lives, and it can impact us in important ways. But in the long run, genetics is what gives you your taste in food. And like, if you are the kind of parent who is is inclined to be really open to stuff, chances are you're gonna end up with a kid who's, if you're inclined to be like, oh, I agree with you, I thought that was weird when I was a kid, and you're not gonna like that, like, then maybe your kids are probably gonna end up being like that also, and no amount of. And then there's also the genetics around like different foods tasting different to different people.
Yes.
Like cilantro and stuff like that there's just no accounting for.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, some things like there's.
Like, I don't have any food allergies personally. I eat everything. I've been very lucky to have a very international life, and I like trying everything. Duck feet included. Didn't love them, but I tried them.
Yeah.
My husband has a million food allergies, a million food aversions. And it's just like, I mean, it was a huge point of contention in our relationship early on, because I would like get mad. I would be like, what the fuck am I supposed to eat with you? And then one day I was just like, oh, wait, I just have to do this without you. Like, if I really want to eat this food, I'm not going to not enjoy it, or I'm not going to have it for myself. I just have to not go with you.
Right. And with your kids, you got a 50-50 chance, or they'll all end up on some
Right.
spectrum between the two of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I can see how, luckily for me, my wife is totally open to anything. I mean, our kids all have completely different tastes in food. So it's not like we were able to
Yes.
push them in the, all in the same direction. But the one thing we were really lucky about is just that they are all, they're so used to at this point being shamed for not liking things that they at least know how to play the game. Like they'll take a bite of the thing that we are adamant that they try.
Yeah.
And at the worst case scenario,
They'll be like, I don't like it.
No, they're not that stupid because they'll get shamed for that. What are you talking about? This is delicious. That's why we ordered it. It's delicious. This is amazing. I love this. They'll be like, oh, I really liked it. I just don't want any more. Like after the one bite, like they know they've learned
Right.
now that if they don't want to be shamed for not liking something, they just say, no, it was fine. I just don't want a second bite. Like I
That's
don't need
so
any more
funny.
of it. And yeah.
That is so funny. Well, let's hope we end up somewhere in that way with our.
Just saying, our kids will pretend to eat anything, but we fuck them up in other ways.
Of course,
Like,
they're all going to therapy, Zach. We just don't know over what. And by all, I mean not just your 5,000 children, but all of us collectively. Okay, so you meet your wife when in this story?
College.
And who hit on who?
Well, she dated another friend of mine.
Asshole.
Well, it was weird. I mean, like
That's what college is for.
I ceded the moment to my friend. In retrospect.
By the way, we're noticing a theme. Doesn't want to do an A&R because he doesn't want to fight.
No, I don't.
He lets his friend go for the girl because he doesn't want to fight.
But listen, this is revisionist history. It's me trying to make excuses. Like, no. I mean, we met also before, before I did not take her from my friend. No, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a very, I mean, listen, I married a woman I met in college. So I think you can extrapolate whatever you want out of that.
I think it means you like what you like and you're not really interested in being inefficient.
Yeah, sure.
Why don't we spin it like that?
Sure. Great.
Okay?
Great.
You like what you like.
I would say it was if she was not interested, I'm not sure that anything would have happened. But it was mutual.
But she was. I would actually hope that would be the case, Zach.
I'm saying I
yes.
I wasn't persistently yeah.
Yeah. You guys, you got it. There was something there. You clicked.
Yeah.
Now, we share a couple things in common, I guess. We're Floridian Jews who worked in radio, who married non-Jews.
We're the same person.
We're basically the same.
person.
If anybody would see us on the street, they'd be like, are you guys related?
Until you find out what my wife does for a living, and then you realize I am what your parents wish you had been.
Tell me.
Which is someone who married a lawyer, because that is what I did. My wife is a high-powered lawyer who she's the reason why I get to do what I do.
She's your sugar mama.
Yeah, and I think my parents gave up on me being a lawyer pretty early on.
Sure.
But I feel like low key I'm like the daughter that my mom always wanted. Like I followed in my mom's footsteps.
You met a nice.
She was like,
nice
you got to marry a lawyer. And I did it. And that's why I'm her favorite son for sure. Don't tell my brother.
Sorry, bro. In Connecticut.
Yeah. So that's where our paths diverged.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, good for you. But the one thing about lawyers, especially high-powered ones, is they work, 5,000 hours a week? Is she just crushing all the time? I mean,
that is the benefit of, the short answer is yes. She works insanely hard, but she also is incredibly present with the kids. We have a pretty decent balance. I think some people would consider me the greatest husband/dad in the world in terms of what I do and what I provide, but I'm not sure she would
Sure.
I'm not sure she would sit here and be like, oh my God, I couldn't do it without him.
Right.
She could definitely do it without me. And there are, I mean, that's the other thing. I feel like I do so much more than my dad ever did. And I'm so much more present than my dad ever did. But I'm also like, not present in all the stereotypical ways that most dads are not present. And
like what?
My wife is still like, my wife comes home for dinner every night. I'm the one cooking that dinner, which is great. And it makes, but she is still, and then after dinner, she goes back on the computer and does more work. And so she's not like, she is still present as a mom. And like, she is doing it all.
God bless
she
her.
should probably be the guest on this podcast.
Well, no,
but she wouldn't have the time, and she'd be here. What the fuck are we doing here? This is what you do. This is your job. Like, are you joking?
Yeah.
Like, she'd be like, I'm not fucking driving to the valley to
talk about myself.
But yeah, like, I don't have time for that.
Am I billing you for this?
Yeah, exactly. That's
every 16 minutes or whatever the increments are. Now, but it is interesting, right? Because there's a lot of talk among parents who are navigating their own dynamic, who are earlier in the process than you. They've got small kids and they're either both working, or there comes the realization that somebody's making so much more money that it makes sense to redivide the division of labor or whatever it is. And quite often, normatively, it is the guy who's making more money. And this is starting to change. And the woman who's taking on more of these sort of like domestic roles. Now, when you guys entered into sort of being parents, did you have an idea? She was already a lawyer at this point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you have an idea that this was going to be kind of the split of roles?
Did I mention I worked in radio? So there was never any fear that I was going to somehow make enough money for us to do anything.
But I mean, like for you, so like for instance, before basically my husband's career took off the day my son was born, my first. And overnight, our roles changed.
I also took off the day our first son was born, took off like mentally. And I quit my job.
Your soul left your body.
I quit. Actually, my wife will joke that like I did we did not have big conversations around this stuff. Like we were not having big this was 15 years ago, 16 years ago. We were not having big discussions about it. She made way more money. So in her mind, she had to keep working. There was no question about it. Like she took maternity leave like as much as she could, which was
not
a couple months. Yeah. Like, but wasn't, was going to immediately go back to work. And I was working in radio at the time at Sirius Satellite Radio. We're doing Midtown Lunch. And we kind of had a brief discussion about me maybe quitting my job, like when our son was born, because then rather than paying for and I could do Midtown Lunch full time because I was doing it as a hobby. But at that time, I could definitely make enough money doing Midtown Lunch, but then also we had a brief discussion about it. And then I quit my job without she'll tell the story, like, what the fuck? Like she was like, wait, we had like a brief discussion.
And then Zach had a psychotic
And then I literally
break.
like the next day quit my job. And she was like, what the fuck? Like we didn't even, and I was like, oh, I thought whatever. It was just,
psychotic break.
Yes. And so it wasn't super planned.
Yeah.
And wasn't,
Did you have an idea of what kind of dad you wanted to be? Not that you were like journaling about it or some shit, but were you just like, I'm going to get knee deep in shit and diapers and do all the stuff?
No. And I was not like, no. And I wasn't great. I mean, I was present, but not like, no. And my wife is a good planner. She's the one who like read all the books and like did all that stuff. And and so I was just along for the ride. I thought, oh, I'm just doing what you're supposed to do, have kids.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, looking back on it, who knows if I had really thought about it and thought about what kind of dad do I want to be? I don't know.
I don't, and there's no right answer to that question, obviously, but I think some people will have a reflection like, my dad was an asshole, which yours wasn't.
If you ask my mom, he was. That's why they got divorced.
Right.
He did horrible, horrible things do you think there's any not to us? He was present for us, But in some ways, it's like, there's. look back on that and be like, well, that's fucked up too. You know what I mean? That
Yes.
like, you know, my mom had to like raise us and do all the like bullshit, hard stuff. And my dad just got to come and take us out to dinner, to the movies and like whatever. And it was like, oh, dad's fun. Like, great. Love my dad. So great.
Yeah.
Like, so,
But
I mean,
you know,
for me, that's the other thing is I went into parenting is like the bar was pretty low for me to be better than and actually it was similarly for my wife. Like the bar was pretty low and we've both exceeded, you know, but that doesn't necessarily make us great parents or great spouses being better than our parents. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like, or whatever in, you know, so
people do the best they can, ultimately, I think is the kind of thing is like you do the best you can and whatever your best is doesn't fucking matter because that was your best. So, you know, like that's ultimately what it is. But, you know, there's some people will be like, oh, well, my parents, I don't like the way they discipline me or this. So when I become a parent, I'm going to do that differently.
Yes, there's a lot of that. I mean, I had a generally positive childhood. Like, obviously, you know, I mean, I'm sure my parents getting divorced definitely traumatized me and I had behavioral issues as a kid and whatever. And I'm sure if I did go to therapy, this is therapy, right? Because
I'm fully licensed.
I don't actually go to therapy, which
just
is
show up to my house. I'll make you brownies. We'll talk about it.
It's probably a mistake. No, I mean, like I don't have like this aside from like, you know, I was like, you don't cheat on your wife and you don't leave your family. I was like, you don't cheat on your wife and you don't leave your family.
Those feel like a good place to start.
That is like, you know, and so I've achieved that like
Mazel tov.
So far.
Yeah.
You know,
today we're doing
but
great.
like that, I mean, I don't like, there weren't things that my parents did to me that I was like, I'm never going to do that to my kids.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think my wife has a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, and I think she maybe she struggles with that, but she also, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's like, no, I'm so much better. You know, I do such a better job. I don't really know. We don't, you know.
We don't talk about our feelings.
I mean, we don't, you know, I don't.
How often do you guys actually spend alone time together?
Well, that's, I mean, there, you know, for, you know, we didn't for a long time after having kids.
It's hard.
You know, and then for a time, we're making time for that. Now we've gotten back to like not really making time for that. There's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, I don't know.
Peaks and troughs, like nothing's perfect all of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we try, but it's, you know, it's hard. I mean, I think our kids have probably benefited from it in the long run. Like we go on a lot of vacations. We always take our kids.
Nice.
Like that's a rule. Like, and we love traveling. And especially my wife loves traveling and she doesn't believe in leaving the kids at home. Like, while you travel.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I think she has pretty terrible memories of her parents dragging her places that she didn't want to be.
Maybe she's revising.
And yet, well, that could be.
Yeah.
But I don't think so because, I mean, because people are like, oh, like we've taken our kids to our kids are such spoiled little fucks. Like the number of places they've gotten to go. And people are like, oh my God, it's so amazing. How do you do it? Like, how do you travel with your kids? And I'm like, oh no, it's miserable. Like it's horrible in all the ways that you.
Thank you for saying that.
We
Zach.
make a conscious decision. Like our version of a vacation is different than yours. And if you decide you want to still have the kind of vacations you had pre-kids, you have to leave your kids at home. Like it's a different vacation. And there is fighting more. I mean, yes, of course, even before we had kids, there's always that one moment in the vacation where
yes, of course,
you have that moment
Pivotal.
where you fight or whatever,
yeah.
like because of something, right? You couldn't find this or that, or, you know, something happens, but you always get through it and it's fine. When you have kids, the whole vacation is that. Like it's a constant struggle. And really, I feel like all you're doing it for is if you are the kind of person that can forget about the horrible things and focus on the positive memories, that's what the vacation is for. I can look back at all our vacations and the photos and everything. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And I know our kids are going to grow up and like they have incredible memories and experiences that will shape their life positively, getting to go to all these incredible places and being the kind of kids who can do that. And they travel relatively well, like, because but there's a lot of suffering that went into that. It wasn't easy. It's not like we have like the magic, I mean, horrible, horrible plane rides, horrible, like tantrums, horrible, like complaining and fights. And
from what age were you doing this? Like babies?
Born babies. Yeah. And not getting to do what we want to do. Like, so, I've gotten to go to amazing places, but do we eat at Michelin starred, right? Like we went to Hong Kong. Incredible. I loved Hong Kong. Great. But did not get to go to any of like the cool Hong Kong bars that people are like, oh, the nightlife is amazing. Like super cool bars. Did not get to do that. Amazing Michelin starred restaurants. Did not get to do that. Like, didn't do any of that. Now, did we wait online for like roast goose? Like, it's some like Michelin starred like street. Yeah, we did that. We went to the Hong Kong cafe, like a Hong Kong style, milk tea cafe, and had like, egg, omelet sandwiches, and like, did that.
I know which one you went to.
Yeah. Like, waited online for that. And like, because those are the things we could do with the kids. Like, and, so it's a lot of, like everything with children, it's a lot of sacrifice.
Well, and let's get to that because, we're in this sort of the shit stuff right now in terms of like literal shit, and we're in a very different chapter, right? And sometimes my husband and I,
some would say the worst chapter.
Could be. But anytime I talk to a parent, they're like, no, whatever chapter you're in is the worst chapter.
It's true. Although objectively speaking, so we're at 16, 13, 10 now. And it's objectively better. Yes, you're dealing with puberty feelings and all that kind of stuff that is worse, like can be worse emotionally, if you've like invested everything in your relationship with your kid and all of a sudden they hate you.
Yeah.
But me, I don't personally, I was prepared for it. And I was like, I don't care. It's like, I got my own friends. I don't know. You want to hate me? Go for it. It doesn't bother me. But I mean, realistically, like it's way better. Like as they get older, it gets easier and easier. Just like logistically, it's better. Yes. Like logistically, it gets easier. Yes. Emotionally, it might
more
get
complex.
Harder, right? Yeah. But logistically, it's just way easier. You're free to, I mean, we can theoretically do whatever we want, leave our kids at home with our oldest. Like they can stay at home by themselves now for the most part. Babysitting becomes a lot easier. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, and so, now they have active social calendars. We got to drive them, places, pick them up, drop them off. Like, but I would take that over not being able to go out to eat dinner any day of the week. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about eating dinner and the career trajectory piece of this. So at what point you have the kids, at what point you're transitioning from music to food? We've gone through Midtown Lunch was before kids.
Midtown Lunch started a few years before we had our first kid in New York while I was working full-time in radio.
Okay.
Having our first kid was the catalyst for me quitting my full-time job in radio and doing Midtown Lunch full-time because I could do it at home.
Yeah.
And I could push my kid around, and my 3-month-old, 6-month-old, when my wife went back to work, he could like do his morning nap while I write on the blog.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, he wakes up. I push him around Midtown in a stroller. He became like famous, like on the blog. And then be home in time for his afternoon nap, or he would fall asleep in the stroller. Not as ideal,
but fine.
But it, could do it if I needed. And then my wife would come home at some point in the afternoon and I'd make dinner for us. And, and that was, but then we always planned on moving. I lived in LA before moving to New York.
Got it.
And my wife is from Northern California. So we always kind of looked at LA as once we had kids, we wanted to move somewhere where we could have more space and all that cliched stuff. So we ended up, when our son was 1, my wife got a job in LA and we moved, and it was
when we moved here when our son was 1.
Yeah. And then at that point I, started doing Midtown Lunch in LA just as eating lunch, freelance food writer. I started a podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with
Never
them.
heard of what? Never heard of it.
No one
is doing them these days.
No, and certainly not since. And so, I was sort of, in charge of like picking the kids up at school and making dinner and doing, I was like I probably was offering more value to my family as a stay-at-home dad than a freelance food writer, blogger / podcaster, financially speaking.
Yes. But that point is important because for me, who, you could say the same easily about me, right? Like I do some consulting stuff. I do this. I'm definitely, we have luckily an au pair, a housekeeper. We have all this sort of help.
That is, we did not have any of that.
Which is incredible. And it gives me the space to be able to do these things. But financially, like I am not
and every parent should know that, by the way. Every parent I've ever spoken to who has jobs and works and, and is like, oh, kids are the best thing that ever happened to me. It's like, oh, do you have like help? And they're like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, that's a huge difference. Like
yes.
if financially you have the ability to have like help.
Yeah.
Like whether it's live-in or during the day
anything,
or,
yeah.
whatever.
Daycare, whatever.
I mean, some of the happiest parents I know are like people with like night nurses and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, well, that's different. Like it's a different beast. It's a completely different, and we didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. Now, was that just a financial choice, an emotional choice, a pedagogical choice? I don't know. I'm pretty, it's the kind of, financial choice is all relative, right? Like we are definitely cheap. Like, and so, yeah, could we have afforded it? Yes, but then we would have not been saving money for going
our
to
kids' colleges or going on vacations or things like that. So, but I think it probably, if you really distilled it down, it was probably just a choice of like my wife's choice of what kind of parent she wanted to be. Mm-hmm. Is probably if she was like, I make a good living and I want to spend this money on someone to help, like, I wouldn't have objected. Like,
sure.
Not that I could have, even if I'd wanted to. I'm not the breadwinner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think similarly to taking the kids on vacation, it was just like,
this is how we do things.
Yeah. I mean, I was raised somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Like my parents were not full on, full on help, but they did have help until they split up, and then financially it became more difficult to have that kind of help.
Yes.
But when we were born, I think they had that kind of help. I don't know.
Well, because I think about like for me, what I'm contributing to this household, definitely it's like, okay, I'm covering the help that I'm getting, that like where my time is being displaced. How much more additively financially, it kind of depends on the year. It's not crazy, but for my identity, my sanity, my sense of self, I did not become a whole ass person in the world and develop all these skills and things I give a shit about to completely just stop one day and be a completely different person I don't recognize.
And there are a ton of people who have the same exact
I'd rather pay
career path as you, but feel the opposite, right? Like
yes,
get to a place where they're just like, no, this is my purpose.
Yes,
is to be home with. And I know dads who are like that.
Yeah,
and I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah,
like I'm actually probably more like you, in the sense of like I needed my blog, my podcast, and when I got my job at Smorgasburg, that was like and this is like a real job. And my return to having a real job that paid a real salary was important to me, and far more important to me than like spending time with my kids, like raising my kids.
Yes.
But that's the other thing is my wife and I spend a ton of time with our kids. Relative to, we're not traveling a ton, like without our kids. Like we're not,
you're having dinner together.
We have dinner. We sit down at a dinner table every, like Monday through, Sunday through Thursday, we have home cooked dinner at a dinner table, and my wife is home from work for that. She very rarely, like, she won't stay at work and come home super late. She comes home, we have dinner, and then if she has more work, she goes,
Yeah.
She does her work after dinner. So I don't feel like our kids are like, I don't know. I've never felt like
And if there was like something at their school or whatever, like somebody
one
could
of
show.
us,
Right.
one of us can always be there. But the truth is we've spent a lot of time, but I think we've sacrificed, or at least I've sacrificed, like a lot of what I'd rather be doing.
Yeah.
Hanging out with friends, going out to dinner,
Yeah.
like having like that kind of stuff, which if I didn't have kids would be the stuff that would make me happiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure
very diplomatically said.
But everybody's different. That's the crazy. I try not to have judgment on.
You can't.
It's funny with all my friends. It's like I feel like the grass is always greener. I feel like that's a thing that I buy into. I feel like it applies to everybody. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's too pessimistic for some people. But I personally feel like the grass is always greener. And so in the end, when my friends are like, when my friends, were getting pregnant or even having like a second kid or a third kid, God forbid. I'm like, what do you need right now? You need me to tell you that kids are the best thing ever? Or do you need me to
tell you the real shit?
Tell you that it's okay to feel like you made a huge mistake and not be judged for it? Because I can do either. Like I can literally, or like friends of mine who can't have kids. And it's like, what do you want? Do you want me to sit here and tell you that you are so lucky that you're going to be so happy, like for, that to not have this burden? I could do that for you. I can make you feel like,
great.
Yeah, I can make you feel great about your IVF not working, I mean, I can't, but I feel like I can if that's what you need.
Yeah.
Right. But also like, I know that when all is said and done, I'm going to look back on my life and be like, thank God, like the kids are everything, family's everything. That cliche is going to end up being true for me. It's just wading through the decades of shit to get to that point.
Yes.
That's the really tough part.
Yes.
And it's kind of like the looking back on the photo albums of the vacations where, luckily I'm the kind of person who tends to remember the good things. And so I'm sure when it's all said and done, I'll be like, just like my mom is like, oh, you guys are the best thing that ever happened to me. And of course, when you're older, like having kids, having family, when your kids have kids, I mean, being a grandparent is great.
Yeah.
But being a fun uncle is great too.
Yeah.
So
100%.
It's, I feel like everybody's different.
We have to get to the Smorgasburg chapter before we wrap up. And
how long have we gone? 3.5 hours?
No, we're doing great. We're crushing, Zach. But I do want to get to that, and I want to get to, again, like where your kids are, favorite foods and stuff now. Because like right now I have a kid who's eating white rice and cucumbers every day, basically. Now, Smorgasburg, how does this opportunity come across your desk?
I mean, I was freelance food writing. I was podcasting. I knew the guys who owned Smorgasburg from when I was living in New York.
Which I should say, for people who don't live in LA or New York, those people I feel like mainly know about what this is. This is like, I'm going to butcher it, like an outdoor food fair almost, where you can come and try restaurants and vendors of all sorts of different kinds of foods in one place.
Yeah, here in LA, it's every single Sunday in downtown, but it grew out of an event that started in New York. Smorgasburg being a combination of smorgasbord and Williamsburg, because the first one was in Brooklyn. The two guys who started it, one of them was a real estate blogger. He was a very big blogger in the early aughts. And so we kind of knew each other just from like being bloggers.
Yeah.
And so whenever they would come out when I moved to LA, whenever they'd come out here, I'd take them on a taco crawl. We'd go to Grand Central Market. And on one of the trips, they were like, hey, we're thinking of opening a Smorgasburg here. And I was like, that is a terrible idea. And they were like, oh, we were going to hire you to curate the food. And I was like, amazing idea. Please give me a job. And so, yeah, I mean, they hired me to originally curate the food, and I had no event experience. So I think they thought they were going to hire somebody else to do the event, because
Yeah, there's a lot of logistics.
But the
involved.
truth is after I started, like, I hate the idea of curating. To me, it's a bullshit job that people like fucking, I don't know. I feel like it's an LA thing that are just like, I curated. It's like, it's not hard to eat food and be like, oh, this is freaking delicious, or to like look at, I mean, that's not hard. Like, that's not, the hard part is like running an event that's actually good for those vendors to make money, to help them succeed.
Well, like, Zach, first of all, hard for you, because if you think about it, it's not just about eating something and being like, it's delicious. It's saying, okay, I have, let's say 30 spots and I want to represent a bunch of different cuisines at maybe different price points. It's about the whole thing.
I've seen a ton of people in LA be curators, and they bring together amazing names. Because if you are curating for a Smorgasburg, or you're curating for an event, or you're starting a new event, you can create an amazing deck. You can sell restaurants on this, and if the business model is okay, or you're paying, you can assemble, and I've seen people do this, assemble amazing restaurants and chefs. Like, that is not hard. But if the event sucks, those people are not going to do an event with you ever again as a curator. Right. Curating is not the fucking job.
If you could see his hands and the air quotes that are happening.
It's kind of like when you called this a closet at the beginning of the podcast. Major air quotes.
Very big
major air quotes. So I think they assumed that I was just going to help them curate, but the idea of doing that and then walking away and not being a part of like this. Yeah. And I wasn't like, I told my wife, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be there every Sunday. Like, we have kids, we have young kids. Yeah. This was 8.5 years ago. So our kids were like, our oldest was, 8.
Yeah.
And then we had a 2-year-old. So like, I was like, I'm going to have to be there every Sunday to start, just to, whatever. 8.5 years later, I've been there like every fucking Sunday. Sure. My wife is like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Like, luckily we had the pandemic. So we had luckily, I'm like the only person who's ever said that.
That is shockingly a common refrain on this.
Listen, by the way, the pandemic was terrible. We did not enjoy it. It was terrible. No. Even for our family, we did not enjoy being, I wasn't like one of those people that was like, oh, the pandemic was amazing.
No.
I got to stay home and not be around people.
That's like a natural birther situation.
No, we hate it. But for my job, after 3.5 years of being in this event every single Sunday, after 15 months of being together every single day for 15 months, it gave us that reprieve that maybe so now we're at a point where it's like, I mean, I'm there every Sunday because I love it. I love being there. It gives me purpose. It gives me, I feel, like I love it. I just love that part of the job. And feel like it's an important part of the job. And my wife recognizes that. And so we've made it work. Like, but at the beginning it was like, are you kidding? Like, you can't be there every Sunday. We have a family. And so they initially hired me to, to curate, but then I was like, I can't walk away from this. And so they brought me on to run the whole thing. And they taught me how to run the event. They built the event like from scratch, like based on what, and then I learned the business. And so now I run Smorgasburg in LA. Like, I oversee everything we do in LA.
What I love is the LA Times piece that they did on you, where I think it was an LA Times piece that basically was like, your bosses quoted basically being like, we love Zach, we just like wish he cared about the bottom line more or something, because
they hated that quote so bad. And they didn't get mad at me for that, but like they were not happy about, and I was like, you said it. It's not my fault. Like, I didn't say it.
I also, like, to be fair,
I think it came off wrong. I can't think it came off wrong.
I want you to tell them this. You tell them
you're telling them right now, by the way.
If they're going to listen.
They're definitely going to listen.
Okay, guys, listen up. All right. When I read it, I imagined somebody with like a smirk on their face.
That is 100% the spirit.
Tongue-in-cheeky, not like we're like capitalist dickheads. It came
100%.
across in a funny way. Obviously, if you didn't like he was doing it, you would have fucking fired him. Like, as clearly like an ecosystem and a checks and balances.
That's 100% the spirit in which
I thought it was very
offered,
clear.
And I think the person who wrote it definitely felt that way.
Yeah.
But there were people who read it who were like, oh shit. Like,
but there are people who just want to be mad about stuff.
Listen, I mean, you want to talk about journalism? Like, oh, sorry, do we have another 7 hours?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. That's
No,
funny.
I
It's funny
feel-
that you brought that up. The one part of that piece that
But I liked it also because it did reveal a lot about your character. Just that section about how you're in it for the same reason why you want to go listen to the bands.
caring about anything is really bad for the bottom line.
Yeah.
I mean, and then it probably goes for parenting too. Like you care too much, you're just setting yourself up for misery. Like nothing.
I'm going to get that on a t-shirt. Caring is bad for the bottom line.
I mean, listen, I actually firmly believe that
For longevity, I wonder, however, like if you're creating a space where a bunch of vendors feel respected and they want to show up and they want to do a good job to be part of the team, like in the long run, that's good for everybody.
Listen, that's the argument that I've made every single day of the past 8.5 years. And so it is hard, there's certain moments where it's hard to feel that that's true, especially if you're the kind of person that looks at everything and feels like, oh, well, eventually everything goes to shit. Like it
Is that you?
Yeah, obviously. Did I mention I'm a Jew? Did I mention that? Well, I don't feel that way deep in the recesses of my soul. No, I am. I think
you're like a curmudgeonly mush.
I want to be I strive to be happy. Like I want to be happy. I feel like happiness is an achievable goal. Like I enjoy being alive. Like you know what I mean? Like I enjoy life.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't buy it. Now I'm going to give you 60 seconds. You get 60 seconds ballpark to tell me about what was so wild about your wife's birthing experience.
Oh God, 60 seconds.
Well, because you told me it would take 2 hours.
My wife had all of our kids without any. Sorry, let me get this right because I don't want to be triggering to anybody.
Okay.
All of the births were unmedicated.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
And so that was her desire. That was her choice. That was her birth plan. But we did not have a doula. We did not have any of those things for our first kid. We went to Lamaze. Like we had a Lamaze instructor who was like this old school, like, you can be at home until your contractions are 3 minutes apart, which like a lot of people are like, whoa, that's insanity. Yeah. And so the story of my wife's first birth is very long, but it ended with her having the birthing experience she wanted, but not because of me. I did not perform my duties the way I was supposed to. Right. And we got lucky with a single nurse in the hospital who was working against the entire rest of the system to give her what she wanted. Everything else and she was so close to not getting what she wanted, to taking the epidural, to doing all the things that they said. And she didn't have to if I had just been better at my job. And the minute the nurse in the moment told her what she should be doing to get her to where she needed to be to have the birthing experience she wanted, it all clicked for me too. And then our second and third kid, I was way better.
Right.
And now I feel like, for years, her and I would tell the story at dinner with our friends who hadn't had kids yet. We freaked the fuck out of so many people.
I bet you did.
Like trying to be natural birthing advocates, because I will tell you, I did see, I don't know if you ever watched Mike Birbiglia's special about his special.
I've seen
Netflix.
his specials.
There was one about having kids.
Okay. I can't.
And I will tell you, and he told a joke about this. I saw when my wife had our first kid, I saw it happen.
Yeah.
I saw it happen.
Yeah.
Like in her face, like I saw her change as a human being. Mike Birbiglia's joke was, he told this joke and he was like, when my wife had her kid, I saw it. I saw it on her face. I saw it happen. She just changed. Like she became this other person. This magical, incredible thing happened that was so beautiful and so amazing. And I stayed exactly the same. When my wife and I saw this like in person, because we saw this in person.
Nice.
She was like, I've never seen you laugh at anything harder than, like, I've never seen you
so
die.
Funny.
It is the best special. I thought it was hilarious. And I had told that story without the extra joke. Like
Yeah.
I had told that same exact story as a genuine story.
Yeah.
But his extra joke, I'm like, that's also true.
That's
like
also true.
and it's hilarious. And so yeah, for a while I was like, I could be a daddy doula, like who talked to dads.
Coaching dads.
But very
on
quickly I
support-
realized that I was better at just freaking people out. And like
With, there's
people
value
are
in
not
that,
ready.
too.
Well, but in the end, and then there was a thing where for a while we were like preaching about like having like natural birth. Well, you're not supposed to call it natural birthing because it implies that the other way is unnatural.
Yes.
Like, but we were preaching about this to our friends. And then we also realized that's not fair because not every person is in the same boat. Not every person wants the same things.
Passionate about my epidurals.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Passionate. And also, I agree with the point of having people advocate for you and the thing that you want in your big moment.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that is. And you said something that I was like, oh, that just applies to everything around parenting, about you experienced it the first time with your wife and you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then with the other ones, you're like
second
locked
and third,
in
I was
and
like,
ready.
I genuinely think I could be a doula.
Yeah.
I think I could. I've been through it 3 fucking times, which is so many times.
So
Way
many
too
times.
many times.
Far too many.
Way too. If my wife listens to this, which she won't, she doesn't have time for this shit. She'll
It's like
be
$1
like,
million.
"Fuck you! You think it was hard for you? You went through it so many times." Like,
Well, famously, did you ever once in the hospital complain about your accommodations as a dad?
no, of course not. But I will tell you, there are things I did for all 3 births that my wife to this day will be like, "You fucking did that," and she will never forget it. And there were times during the whole process where she was like, "Go fuck yourself!" Like she was so mad at like. She would completely, this is not how she remembers. Anybody who's listening to this being like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like you really, like, no. Her story would be completely different. And I had absolutely nothing to do with the positive outcomes of any of my wife's births. But that's not what you, as a dad, that's not what you're taught.
Right.
Like there are things that you can be incredibly useful. And whether or not your wife remembers those things after the fact is not why
The point.
is not why you do it. And she definitely will not remember or care.
Like,
and
like
nor
for
does,
example,
nor does your wife have
we do have dads who listen to this. So if there are if there's like one nugget, and I know you have a million, we can do a daddy doula episode separately.
Second birth, like our middle child, I think I fell asleep on the couch while she was in labor for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But she'll also tell you that was the easiest birth of the 3. That's why we had a third. If she had the third second, she would have been like, fuck this, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
But the second one was the big air quotes easiest of the 3. And so at a certain point, we were just waiting, and I just fell asleep on the couch. She will not let me forget.
Oh yeah,
that.
my husband did a lot of snoozing. All right, Zach, this has been such a joy. I could truly talk to you about so many things for such a long time. I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is, what is for dinner in your house tonight? It is Friday night.
Tonight we go out to dinner on Friday nights.
What are we eating?
I get the night off.
What,
I get
like with the
night
whole
off.
family?
It's not great. I mean, we have our places. They love like conveyor belt sushi on Sawtell. Like that's but big mistake. Don't introduce sushi to your kids. It's so
like berries.
So expensive. It's like, so dumb. We introduced that to them way too early, and now they're like, we want sugarfish. And it's like, yeah, for parents, like a night out at Sugarfish is
great.
A nice and not insanely expensive, but when then you're buying it for 3 fucking kids and there's 5
and they
people,
house it, and they probably house it as well.
Worst.
Now tell me, you mentioned your mom's meatloaf. What do you think might be one of those things that you make that your kids might look back and say, that's something I'm really craving right now?
I've started making katsudon.
Nice.
Which
who doesn't love a crispy piece of meat?
Which our kids really love. Pork? They get excited when I make that. So I make it. I usually make it with pork chops. Occasionally with chicken. One of our 3 kids is actually a pescatarian, and so I'll make hers with a like Impossible chicken, breaded chicken.
Those are very good,
patty.
Actually, yeah.
And they're especially good if you're covering them in egg and sauce and serving it over rice. That's a big recent one. I make pasta a lot. They'll definitely complain that I made pasta too much. Like pasta is sort of a every other day kind of. I'll make pasta 1 or 2 times
with like different sauces
a week. Yeah, I mean, like it's either olive oil and garlic
Delicious.
with vegetables and a protein.
Great.
Or like red sauce. And so I won't make, if I make pasta twice in a week, it'll definitely be one or the other. Like they'll get one of each.
Yeah.
I'll do lasagna. They really like lasagna. I don't know. I mean, we do taco night. They love taco night.
Are we doing it on Tuesday?
Not specifically, but whenever we do, the kids will be like, "Oh, Taco Tuesdays." But that's just going to Gonzales Market, which if you live in,
there's one here.
there is no. It should be Vallarta if it's in the valley.
Vallarta.
Yeah, Vallarta. The city is notoriously split into where if you're in the northern part of LA, you get Vallarta. If you're in the southern part, you get
And
Northgate
what are we
Gonzales.
buying?
You're buying fresh tortillas that they make there. One of my kids like corn tortillas and one likes flour, so we buy both. And then like some kind of protein from like the hot, like carnitas. And then we'll make guacamole. I'll make salsa sometimes. And then you just put cheeses out and they make their own taco. It's super easy.
Famously, the night that requires the most dishes in our house.
Taco night?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Although katsudan is a big frickin'
Production because of the breading, the dredging, and
You got the dredging, you got the breading. I can't make one at a time, so there's 2 pans.
Yeah.
Plus whatever pot I boiled the sauce in, and then the eggs, and yeah, it's a huge mess. That'll be one where my wife will graciously do the dishes because she knows how much work it is. And so she'll do the dishes on katsudan night because she also really likes it.
And normally, is it you doing the dishes otherwise?
It's as the years have gone on, she has started doing the dishes more and more. But for a while there, it was like, I need you to do the dishes also. And it was like, fine. But I notoriously did I never do 100% of the dishes.
Like every fucking dude out there, man.
No.
Breaking stereotypes.
I feel bad about it. It's, but I feel like 85% is so much more than my dad. My dad never did dishes. He never cooked for us. Like he wasn't even around I don't have a single memory of a home cooked meal with my dad and mom at a table.
Me neither.
So, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I'm not going to feel guilty.
No. We're doing better than the last
It's not true.
generation.
I feel guilty about the dishes thing, the 85% thing, because I know it's like I get to that point and I'm just like,
your brain breaks.
I know my wife's going to be so mad that I'm just leaving these little few things or just not wiping down this or doing this. And I just but I need to go into the other room physically. I just need it.
You need to pull a grandma and go lay down.
Sit on the couch and watch TV. And I just can't do it. That extra 15%. I'm so sorry.
I hope my husband never listens to this because he's going to feel super justified.
Justified?
Zach, yeah, he's going to be like, Zach.
Everybody does this?
Zach, super dad of 3, who's doing all of this stuff, is also not doing the 15%. He's going to be like, well.
Well, if you need to introduce your husband to my wife, she will she will graciously tell him that I am not a super dad.
I don't think I could pay her bill for the service. Zach, we're going to do a follow-up at some point because this was so much fun, but thank you for being here. I'm excited to take my family to Smorgasburg and watch my kid eat nothing, but I can't wait to eat some stuff.
I'll happily shame your kid.
Great.
I've done that for other people. Just eat things in front of them that they don't want to eat and be like, this is so delicious. You're missing out on how do you not want this? It is so good.
He'll happily look at you and go, that looks kisgusking. Thank you for being here, Zach. This was a pleasure. Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at mutha, mutha.life for a daily look at all things Mutha. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mutha Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.